letter.
Good evening. This is a meeting of the Athens Board of Zoning
Craziness.
Appeals. The time is 7 p.m. and the date is November 13, 2013. And at this time, I'll call the meeting to order. The board consists of 5 members and 2 alternates. The alternates taking full part in the discussion and becoming voting members in the absence of a member or when a member abstains for conflict of interest. Present tonight are Greg Lavelle, John Galsey, Joan Kronowski, and Kate Towsley. I am Betty Hollow, the acting chair, and also with us is Zoning Administrator John Paskey and Secretary Paul Eschenbacher. The board operates under the following procedure. The chair will name and describe the case. The zoning administrator will state the basis of the objection and any applicable facts or conditions pertaining to the case. The applicant or representative will give reason why the appeal should be viewed favorably. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the request will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in general comment will be heard. And anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be heard. If necessary, the appellant or their representative will offer concluding summary or rebuttal remarks. Testimony from the floor shall be closed. The board will deliberate and render a decision. According to Athens City Code 230703B, the board has the power to grant variances from the strict application of the code, provided that the variance will not be contrary to the public interest, the spirit of the code is observed, public safety and welfare are secured, and substantial justice is done. According to Athens City Code Section 230910C, variances from the code shall not be granted unless the board finds, based on direct specific findings of fact, that each of the following conditions has been supported, and there are 6 conditions. The first one is practical difficulty and undue hardship. Because of exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to a specific piece of property, a literal enforcement of these regulations would result in practical difficulty or undue hardship that is unnecessary to the achievement of public purposes. Number 2 is exceptional circumstances. They're exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone. Number 3, preservation of equal property rights. Literal interpretation of these regulations would deprive the appellant of rights commonly enjoyed by others in the same zone, in the same vicinity, while a granting of the requested variance will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied to other properties in the same zone, in the same vicinity. 4 is minimum variance. The variance granted is the minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the property. 5 is absence of detriment. The authorizing of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent property and will not materially impair the purpose of the zoning code or the public interest. And the last one is not of a general nature. The conditions or situations of the specific piece of property or the intended use of the property for which the variance is sought, one or the other or in combination, is not of so general or recurrent a nature as to make reasonably practicable the formulation of a general regulation for such condition or situation. Any person, resident, or officer, department, or appointed body of the City of Athens aggrieved by the decision of the board may petition the Athens City Court of Common Pleas concerning the illegality of the decision. Such petition must be filed within 30 days after the mailing of the decision of the board to the applicant. We have 3 cases on the agenda tonight. The first one is a property at 138 North Lancaster Street. This is case 1311V. The second case is at 101 Elmwood Place, case 1312V, and number 3 is 18 and 18 and 20 and a half Fern Street, case 1313V. We are required to take testimony under oath, so would anyone who wishes to speak tonight please stand and swear or affirm that any testimony you present to the board will be the truth, the whole truth, or nothing but the truth. If you wish to speak, please stand and so swear or affirm that you will tell the truth or nothing but the truth.
I swear I'll tell the truth.
Thank you. So, our first case, as I said, is 1311B. This is the property at 138 North Lancaster Street. The zone is R1. The applicant is requesting a variance from ACC 231001, Table A, Schedule of Bulk Controls, to allow renovation of a building to have 0-foot front setback where 25 feet is the minimum required. And we'll ask Mr. Eschenbacher to tell us a bit more about this, if you will.
Well, the appellants simply want to replace the front porch that had been on the house. The new front porch will be wider. It'll encompass the whole front of the house, but it won't stick out any closer to the street than the old porch did. Now, because of the right-of-way on North Lancaster being as wide as it is, it extends into the yard of 138, and it not only extends into the front setback, but it also goes into the city right-of-way, so that even if the zoning board tonight were to give them a variance for that, they still have to go to city council to get a revocable license.
And the dimensions that you gave us for the porch tonight thank you, 30 by 4 by 6, is that approximately what the porch was?
Well, I think it's 30 feet 4 inches by 6.
Oh, okay, I see that, okay. All right, so 30 long and 6 feet. Okay, and is that about what it was before?
No, I don't. You can ask the appellant for specifics, but I don't believe it was that wide before.
Okay, you mean that deep?
Well, that wide, taking up the front of the
long.
house.
Okay.
The depth or how closer it comes to the road is the proposed porch is no closer.
Okay,
than
so
what
it's
other-
the...
So it's just going to be wider, but not.
Okay, all right, okay.
I
And
think if you looked on an aerial map too, you see the house just to the north of it. Even with the 6-foot patio, I think protrudes farther into the right of way than what this will as well.
okay, all right. So, who is the representative here? Would you come to this podium, tell us your name and address, and give us your take on the situation?
My name is John Mitchell. My brother and I own this property. And all we're trying to do is, there's an existing porch now where you can just barely stand there. And we've had a lot of water damage because it tilts. And we've had to have it taken out and drainage put around the house. So all we really want to do is come out the same distance, only a little bit wider, so somebody could sit there and, we could have gutters on the porch so the water doesn't run into the house, into the basement. We just spent thousands of dollars for a new foundation on it. We just like to make it look a little bit better and, make it a nice place for somebody to be. There's nowhere to stand if you want to get in out of the rain while you're locking the door or unlocking it. We just want to improve our property a little bit is all.
The porch is totally gone now, isn't it?
We used to have one on it, but it was, pulled down by students years ago.
Okay.
Okay, and then there was a cement step there.
Okay.
Which, was all tilted and racked from the water damage.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I just wanted to be sure that I looked at the right house.
Yeah, there was a porch there years ago.
Okay.
We just want to make it, a little bit nicer than it is.
Okay.
Very simple request, really.
Questions for Mr. Mitchell?
A few questions. The first, if you come out 6 feet from the front of the house and put in a cement pad, I'm assuming that's what you're going to use for a base foundation?
Yes.
How much damage do you think you're going to do to the oak tree that's there in the front yard? I measured maybe less than 2 feet between
I don't think it'll come out as far as the oak tree is.
Well, it's not, but you're going to come out 6 feet, so I'm just asking that question. If
You're asking me if we were going to damage the oak tree?
That's what I'm asking.
Oh,
Very good.
I don't believe so. the oak tree is going to damage our porch eventually. The roots are going to. That's what the problem is now. I think is partly the roots in that have got into the foundation, and but we're not going to hurt the oak tree any. I don't think.
Well, the other thing is it's on the city right away, so you have to get permission from the city to take it down if that was your intent.
Oh well, we hadn't thought about taking it down. I didn't think that was in the.
No, it's not. I'm just asking all those questions so we could.
No, I kind of like the tree actually. The apple tree I don't like very well, but. But no, we're not planning to do anything with the oak tree.
So when you did, I saw you did a huge amount of work, and did you put drainage around the front?
Yes, we did. We did clear around the front and side because the walls were caving in. So we had to have a guy dig it all up and put drainage and rebuild a wall, all from the water damage. And that's what we're trying to prevent by putting a porch on there. We want to put some gutter on there to get the water away from the front of the house.
Other questions? Okay. Anything else you want to tell us?
It's pretty simple.
Okay, all right, thank you. We'll see if there's anybody else who wants to speak to this issue, and if need be, you can come back up and tell us some more. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in support of this variance? Anyone who wishes to speak in general comment? Anyone who wants to speak in opposition? Okay. Mr. Mitchell, any concluding words?
No, just
Okay, all right.
request.
Okay, then we'll close the floor and the board will deliberate and give you some kind of a decision. Okay?
I have a quick question
yes.
for either John or Paul. The appellant saying in their letter of appeal, they say, I cannot imagine a scenario where a porch across the front of the house would cause the city any problems. Any comments?
That's why I stated that a minute ago about the house to the north of it sticking out even farther than his request on this porch. Although that is the old wide right-of-way, since the road's pretty much been redone or being redone right now, I don't foresee any problems with these properties that are encroaching out into the right-of-way, because many of them do down through there. So, but that's a decision that, since it's a revocable license, that City Council will have to make, probably with the recommendation from Andy Stone.
It's true that the house to the north comes out farther with its porch, but the houses to the south are set a bit farther back, even though most of them have porches. So these two at the end are the ones that protrude.
That is correct.
Okay. Okay.
And the sidewalk is not being interfered with.
I'm sorry?
The sidewalk still remains clear and
Yeah, and
happy.
I don't know what the extent of the project is up there and how that gets done. They did request a curb cut to put a dry or parking space in there, and we did deny them that because it was too close to the intersection. So,
It's probably 6 or 7 feet from where the porch is going to be to the sidewalk.
Okay, any other questions or comments before we look at the findings? We have to refine the findings. Okay, let's go through these findings and see what you think. Yes, we need a motion, thank you.
I move that we grant the appellant in case 13-11V the variance from ACC 23.10.01 Table A, Schedule of Bulk Controls, to allow the renovation of a building to have 0-foot setback, front setback, where 25 feet is the minimum required.
I second.
I think you need to add the condition that they also get the revocable license from City Council.
Okay, can you add that?
And that they also get a revocable license from City Council.
Okay, the first thing we have to consider is practical difficulty and undue hardship. because of exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to this property, a literal enforcement of the regulations would result in practical difficulty or undue hardship for the owners, actually, that is unnecessary to the achievement of public purposes. What do you say to that?
Well, originally the 6x6 with the roof on it over the front door, I think was practical for reasons that the appellant stated, so you could go in the door without having rain coming down on your head.
Right.
But to go beyond that,
Well, I think we have to decide, is there something exceptional about this property that if we deny the variance will create a difficulty that's not really necessary to support the code?
No.
no.
So you're saying there's no exceptional or extraordinary circumstance?
Not really. I mean, it's,
Well, I guess I would say that the house, I don't know what the date of the house construction was, but it certainly is not a recent building. So, in a sense, here is a house along with other houses along this street, which were built some time ago when the code was probably not in force. And I don't know that you can really hold it, any of these houses, to the current code, and certainly not the house that's next door to it.
well, you can't hold it to the code of past, but to the code of present.
That's the one you can't hold it to, because it can't meet those.
It can't meet those, but it could meet the minimum or maximum request of this variance. And I think that's what Joan was referring to when I said I agree, that it may be more than minimum to achieve the purpose for this piece of property, not necessarily the house. It's the property. It can't,
Well, the house is the property.
well, it is.
Yes.
And if the property's sloped or the house was sunk and sloped and it's a water issue, that's not a problem of the, that we're.
No, the issue is how close it is to the street.
Okay.
Right. So it's a setback issue.
Yeah, I think Betty's right. I think what we're talking about, Greg, maybe is minimum variance.
Right, because you're asking for basically a zero setback when there is a fairly wide right-of-way here, and you're talking about a house that was built before these setbacks were established.
That is absolutely correct.
Yeah, I'm not questioning the setback issue at all.
Well, that's what we're voting on.
Well, I know. And not only this, well, we're voting on a bigger piece of the setback, let's put it that way, than what was originally there,
Okay.
that
all right.
satisfied that house.
All right, let's move along. Are the extraordinary or exceptional circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone?
Well, it seems that this property has a problem with the water coming from when the rains, water goes by the footer, and maybe they can't keep it away. Maybe that's a special.
Okay.
But it's all drained now. They've taken care of that. I mean, I have the same issue. You put
That's
the
what they
drainage
stated in here.
All right, preservation of equal property rights. Literal interpretation of these regulations would deprive the appellant of rights commonly enjoyed by others in the same zone in the same vicinity, while a granting of the requested variance will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied to others in the same zone in the same vicinity.
Many people have porches. I think there's one house within the block on both sides of the street that does not have a porch.
Okay, so this would not confer any special right on them.
No.
Okay. Minimum variance. The variance granted is the minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the property.
No, this is where I make my point. I think that what they had in the past was a 6x6.
Okay.
And so that was, although acceptable under old code standards, new code, because they're going to replace it, they want to extend what they had in the past, and that's my objection. So they only were taking 6 feet into the city right away.
Yeah,
And-
now they're asking for 5.
And now they're asking for 24 more feet to go into the city right away.
Okay, you're meaning this.
That is correct.
part
Right.
Right,
Would also be in the city right of way.
right, exactly, and it was not in the past. So to grant them variance for what they had in the past, 6 by 6, I have no problem doing that.
But in fact, this portion that they used to have is not going to be any farther into the right of way than it ever was.
True.
That is correct.
Okay, you're
But this
objecting,
is
you're objecting to the
to the other,
30 feet.
right, correct.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Other comments?
It's tricky.
Yeah, I would consider with respect to the city right of way, in not just the width, but the depth, so, it's still the same number. So that hasn't increased.
Yeah, right.
Unless,
So-
but
So
sure.
so what you're talking about is this.
Yeah, this is
6 foot
increased, but
depth.
this
This
hasn't
is the part that's increased.
Yeah.
But the actual
Yeah, that hasn't
encroachment into the
to this
setback
city
in the right of way is
Yeah.
no greater than it was
No.
before. It's just
Numerically, it's the
more.
same, yeah.
Okay. Absence of detriment. The authorizing of such detriment will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property and will not materially impair the purpose of the zoning code or the public interest.
I don't think there is.
You think there's no detriment? Okay. Other people?
No, I agree with John. I don't see the harm.
Okay, I don't see either because all of these houses are probably closer to the street than they should be, and certainly the next door house is of equal
Right.
incursion into the right-of-way. Not of a general nature. The condition or situation of the specific piece of property or the intended use is not of so general or recurrent a nature as to make reasonably practicable the formulation of a general regulation. Okay, we already have a general regulation. I don't think it's going to be changed because of this house. Okay. All right. Other comments that you want to make here? Okay, this house sits in a line of houses that are almost all too close to the street, and it will be in line, if it gets a new porch, with the house next door to it. So,
Well, not almost all of the house, it's just the house next door is within.
yes, but all of them
In
are
general, yeah.
probably closer to the street than we would now allow. If you just go right
Well, we
down
don't
that-
know that. I mean, most
I
of them are
looked
set
really
back.
carefully.
Did you? I knocked on doors. I
Did
mean,
you?
I talked to people.
Okay, okay.
Most of them are set back, at least on that side of the street. If you
Yes,
do an
that's
eyeball,
true.
they're set
Yeah.
way back, right?
Yes,
I mean,
so
they're
most
back
of them are
25
sort of like
feet,
this, and then there's this one that's a little bit forward, and this one's a little bit forward.
Right, and then everybody else is.
They're
goes
sort
back
of
to
in a
back,
line,
back.
but they're probably all closer to the street than we would allow today. So, okay, are you ready to vote? Let's start with Ms. Towsley,
I vote yes.
okay?
No.
I would, yes.
No.
I'm going to vote yes, too. So you will have the variance. Okay. I think I counted right?
310.
All right, our next case is 101 Elmwood Place. This zone is R1. The case is 1312V. The applicant is seeking a variance from ACC 230314 to allow construction of a fence with a front setback of 11 feet, where 25 feet is the required minimum, and a side setback of 0 feet, where 12.5 feet is the required minimum. Mr. Eschenbacher.
I want to give you this rough drawing of what they're proposing here. Submitted by the appellant with their original permit. They just want to put a fence. It's an unusual lot and house in that the house is basically shoved back in one corner of this lot, on this corner lot. And therefore, for them to want to put a fence all the way around the yard or around most of it affects two setbacks. The front setback on Elmwood Place and what we consider the side setback on Shannon Street. And the general rule is the side setback on a corner lot has to be 1/2 of the front. So it's 12.5 instead of 25. Now, where they want to put the fence along South Shannon Street does stick out more than it's supposed to under city ordinances, but I believe it would, if it was allowed to be built, would line up with that house on South Shannon Street to the immediate north. So when you're looking at the front of the house, it'll look there. So in my opinion, I don't believe it would stick out any further than that house.
Okay.
Now, I haven't heard specifically about types of fences or anything as to whether it would be a see-through fence or completely block off or anything, so I don't know about the traffic visibility on the corner. It looks as though it's back far enough on the Elmwood Place side, the fence would be back far enough, 11 feet from the right-of-way line, that there shouldn't be a problem once cars get to that intersection.
Okay. How would we know if there is a problem?
We would have to find out what kind of fence they're going to put in, where that corner post is going to go, and then check from there.
Okay, and maybe how high the fence is?
Yeah, all of that we have
Okay,
to
all right.
know.
So that would be checked before they actually could put the fence up. Is that right?
What we're trying to say is the variance is granted, we will verify that the visibility from the corner from that stop
Okay,
sign, and
and
we'll work
then-
that out as well
okay,
with
and then
DPW.
you
Yeah.
would accommodate whatever needed to be
Yeah,
done.
if it needs to be angled on that corner, or whatever may need to be done, we'll require that of them.
Okay, all righty. Anything else we need to know from you all?
Nope, unless you have any other questions.
Okay, so the appellant should come to the podium, tell us your name and address, and what you're proposing, and why.
Hi, my name's Meredith Price Mullins, and I'm at 101 Elmwood Place. My dad actually owns the house. His name's Sam Price, and hopefully within the year I'll buy it for my dad, so that's kind of where we are. I guess to start is I just moved here from Houston. I was a high school teacher, and I sold my house. My husband died of brain cancer, so I was just far from my family, so my parents said, if you sell your house, we'll buy you a house here, and we wanted to come to Athens, so we're here. I have two small kids. They're 6 and 8, and they're here with me. So basically, I'm just kind of seconding what he had said. I want to build the fence with the existing line of my neighbors on Shannon. It would go straight. It's my understanding that I was supposed to come from the front corner of my house, but my house is on the lot in a peculiar way. So I don't have a backyard, and I'm built right into the, I guess, the alley that's owned by the city. And so my yard is my front yard, but my house faces, I guess, Shannon instead of Elmwood, but I have an Elmwood address. So what I wanted to do was just come out from the side of my house, maybe 5, 6 feet. I'm not sure, I didn't measure it, but from the side of my house to line up with their line on Shannon and go straight to the corner, on May, to the corner on Shannon. And then I wanted to line up with my neighbor's front porch on Shannon and make just, I guess, the square. It's just a perfect rectangle around my house. And so I have some pictures here that I wanted to show you. This was, do you want me to just come over there?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. This is kind of an idea. This is what I kind of wanted to do with my fence, my privacy fence, within the height requirements that were necessary, whatever the height requirements are. And then this is just my corner was going back. But this is the corner of my house that I wanted to go off of. And so this would match up with their fence line here. So I would go this way and then come along this way. There is, she had come by and there was a large tree there, and I won't be touching the tree at all. We'll either, if the variance is granted, we'd go right in front of the tree. But if it abuts the tree, I'll just stop and then start on the other side of the tree. So that's just kind of a picture of the proposed picture, and then it's a really bad corner, but this is their fence line, obviously, which comes here, which would be along this way, and then the fence would look like this all the way around. And then it'll cross my driveway, so when it gets to my driveway, I will have 2 wood swinging open and closing for the driveway. And then I wanted to have a little like pergola built on the little walkway to come into the yard. Just,
Where?
I don't have a picture, but just
Okay.
so that it looks nice. So that's the,
So where would it be?
and here is.
Wait, I want to know about the
Oh,
pergola.
the pergola, just probably walking in, but it's not.
Okay,
in a-
so it would be
Inside the fence?
inside the
Well, I
fence.
could do
but-
it inside or just a break in the fence line to walk
Okay,
into
so
the yard. So
let's
I
see
have
on here, where is that? Where you think-
maybe right here so that we could walk into the yard, but it's not a necessity.
Okay.
The fence is more important than the
Sure,
pergola.
okay,
So,
I'm just
you
interested.
know, I just wanted, if I can't do the pergola, I'll just do a gate that opens so that you can get into the yard, not just getting in through
Right.
the garage, the driveway. So, and then this is just looking at the tree. Sorry, I don't know if y'all can see. Looking at the tree, that's their existing fence line, and then I build here, and then straight along the street. Okay, and today I was doing some building, and I just went out there and put a 10-foot piece of board up just to see visibility. So I was standing at the stop sign looking down the road so that there wasn't any obstruction for the cars. And so this is without car. And then
And that's looking towards, this is Elmwood over here, right, with the
Right.
stop
this is
sign,
Elmwood
right?
and this is Shannon. Okay.
And you're thinking that's about where the fence would be.
Yeah,
A
because this
10-foot fence seems awfully high.
this was just to be, it won't be that high.
Okay.
It was just to give an example of
can't be
how,
that high.
if it was super high.
Right.
6 foot is the
6
maximum
feet.
height
Yeah.
it
6
can
foot's the
be.
maximum.
Yeah, but I was just doing it
Okay.
to show that even if it was bigger, you could still see,
Right.
is what my
Could you
point
see
was.
that?
So this is without cars. And
Okay.
then this is a car approaching, which you can still see almost to my driveway from the car approaching. And car approaching further. And then truck at stop sign. So you can still see there's plenty of visibility. Okay, and then this would be, I'm on the opposite side of the street looking over.
Right.
And this, I would make my line parallel with his porch, so you're still gonna have all of this space.
Right,
Before I
and
would-
the fence would be behind that tree.
Yeah,
Right.
if this would be like the fence line,
Mhm.
that would be the L. And then this would go, this way, and
Right.
that would go back that way.
Mhm.
That's that. And then this is what it would look like looking across the street, the same view. But the fence would start with the back of my garage right here, go off to the edge
Okay.
of his.
And that's the neighbor's house on
Yes.
Shannon.
Mhm,
Okay.
This is the Shannon house. And then that would just be straight and neat and clean looking. Across there, and then that's the line, and then this is Elmwood.
Okay.
And this is Shannon. Okay, and then this is my neighbor's house on May. And this is the existing fence line that I'm trying to go off of on this direction. And then this is the house across the street that they didn't build straight back. They were, I guess, granted permission to go out from their house, like I'm asking on the side, to come out the 5 feet
Right.
or whatever on the side. And this actually goes even over here. That's chain link, and then there's some wood there. And then this is just another house, 102 Elmwood on the opposite corner of May and Elmwood. And then they built out away from their house instead of straight back.
Right. Okay.
It's kind of,
All right.
so, and then my main, obviously, reasons for doing it would be security. I have pets and my little kids, and I want them to be able to have a yard. And I also don't want to be walked upon. I don't want people right up on my house. And so I just wanted to.
Could it be see-through, or does it have to be solid?
I would like it like that, but, if I'm going to be denied, I would prefer some
Okay.
rather than none. You know what I mean? So I guess that's kind of where I'm at.
So security is more important than visibility, privacy.
Both
They
are,
sort of go together.
both are important, yeah.
Well, if it was a chain link fence,
I don't
There's no
want,
privacy
I
there.
want it to look nice. And not that chain links can't look nice, but I think that this fence is very pretty and will look very nice. And I want to do a lot of vegetation in front of it, and I want to really make it look nice, pretty. So that's kind of, and I want to be able to let my dogs out in the night and not have an old dog and he needs to go to the bathroom. So, and I'd like the kids to be able to play basketball without the ball going out to the street. And and I want a vegetable garden, and that'll need to be fenced to get the varmints to not eat my stuff. So, anyway.
Okay. Questions? Anyone?
No.
Yes? Okay. Is anyone who wishes to, we can call you back if need be,
Can
okay?
I sit down?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, is anyone who wishes to speak in support of this variance? Okay. Tell us your name and address, please, sir.
My name is Dale Duvall. I live directly across the street from her at 98 Elmwood Place. When Meredith's father and mother came and looked at the property in, January?
We were March.
Yeah.
We came.
I asked them if I would get down on my hands and knees and beg them if they'd buy the house because it was a derelict eyesore.
Yes.
For the last 3 or 4 summers, I've had to look at 2-foot-high grass that they never cut. And again, the property was just in bad disrepair. When my wife and I moved there 34 years ago, there was an elderly couple lived there by the name of Tom and Mary Rose, and they kept it spotless. It was like a little cottage. And after they moved out into the country, it just continually went downhill, downhill, downhill. So anyway, when Meredith and her 2 boys moved in, it was a godsend because they have done wonderful things with that piece of property. If you give awards for improving property, they deserve it. And again, I would not mind looking at any type of fence she wants to put up. And I'm the one when I look out my windows, I look directly into her yard. So again, I am in complete support of anything she would like to try to do, within the code, of course. So, or within the variance. So.
Questions? No. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyone else to speak in support?
Hello, my name is Tracy Kitts, and I live directly behind Meredith. So the fence that she was showing you on Elmwood, that is our fence that was there when we bought the house 23 years ago. So that was an existing fence, and all she wants to do is line up with our fence. So that means, it makes a lot of sense. And I think she showed you the house across the street from her on Shannon, and they have a fence as well. It's a 6-foot fence. So I think it would be in keeping with the neighborhood. I just want to concur with everything that Dale said in terms of the property. My wife had suggested that we buy it and then have it torn down because it was in such bad shape. So we're really happy that they've taken on the property and fixed it up, and would be in support of anything that she'd want to do on the property. So.
Questions? Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to speak in support?
Hi, my name is Sharon Collins, and I live at 96 Elmwood Place. We recently moved to Elmwood as well, and have been glad to see that the property, it's catty corner from us, so it's visible from our front windows, front yard. Glad to see the improvements, like Dale had mentioned, and the fence would not block our view from, certainly would not take away from anything of our view, and would be a nice addition. It seems that it's the design ideas that Meredith has are nice, and like she said, being wood fence would improve probably the value, and would keep with the way many fences in our neighborhood and along Elmwood are built. So it's a family neighborhood, certainly right there around East, and safety and security are certainly important. There was a recent break-in in our neighborhood, and so anything we can do to help secure our properties and protect our children, I think is a good thing and a positive for our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone who wishes to speak in general comment about the property? Anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Okay. Anything else you want to tell us that we don't already?
Safety is important, and I think a aesthetically, it wasn't very nice. My dad put a lot of money into the place. It was vacant, I think, for a year and a half, almost 2 years. It was in very bad shape, very bad shape. And it's going to be painted too, but it got too cold too fast, so I'll have to wait till spring to paint. So, but there've been a lot of improvements, and it's a very neat house. So, and the other thing I would like to add, if for some reason that I just feel like if you increase the property value of the house, the person, if for some reason years and years and years from now the house would be sold, people that would move in would also be able to afford upkeep and maintenance on the house to make it look nice. So I don't think that it would be, I don't think it would be a detriment to have a wood fence because it would be maintained and taken care of. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, thank you. So we will now close the floor to comments and questions. And does anybody have a motion for us for this property?
I move in case 13-12V that we grant the variance from Athens City Code 23.03.04 to allow construction of a fence with a front setback of 11 feet, where 25 feet is the required minimum, and a side setback of 0 feet, where 12.5 feet is the required minimum.
Second?
Second.
Shall we go through the findings and see what we see? Practical difficulty and undue hardship. Because of exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to the property, a literal enforcement will result in practical difficulty or undue hardship that's unnecessary to the achievement of public purposes.
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, the property is livable. It looks very nice.
Well,
A huge yard.
Yes, but I'm going to jump in here and say,
Location of the house.
yes, this house is perpendicular to the street. It's not really facing Shannon because it's too far away. It has an Elmwood address. It doesn't face Elmwood.
Has no backyard.
It has no backyard whatsoever, and it's actually a pretty big lot. And as we get to it, we will have to admit that there are adjacent to it, as in addition to other places, fences that are just as close to the street. So again, given the fact that it would abut a fence that's already there and that it's in this weird position, I think that would qualify for undue hardship and exceptional circumstances. Preservation of equal property rights. Literal enforcement of the regulations would deprive the appellant of rights commonly enjoyed by others in the same zone, the same vicinity, while a granting will not confer any special privilege denied to others.
That's really more applicable to what you just said.
Yeah.
Okay.
We already have.
Yes, there's a fence right that they're going to
Next
hook
door,
onto
yeah.
in the same location. Minimum variance. The variance granted is the minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the property.
Again, to use that area inside, isolated, you need to have that space. So I think it's minimal.
Okay. It is, of course, possible to use a house without a fence, but there are other fences nearby, and I can understand people wanting to have both privacy and security.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, there are quite a few break-ins in this little east side neighborhood that we think of as so safe. Absence of detriment. The authorizing of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property and will not materially impair the purpose of the code.
Well, neighbors
Right.
seems to be happy with.
Yes.
I certainly think a fence, not a chain link fence, would be
No
desirable.
barbed wires on the top.
I had raised.
Not of a general nature. What do you think? Is this something that the city code needs to take up and deal with?
No.
No. Okay. All right, shall we vote? Let's start with Ms. Gronowski tonight.
No.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Greg?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and I also vote yes. So, okay, you have a variance for a fence. All right, we have one more case to deal with.
Very, very, very much.
It's in my neighborhood. I appreciate what you've done.
Thank you. I very much appreciate it. Thank you.
This case is at 101 Elmwood Place. oh, no, sorry. 18, 18 and a half, 20, 20 and a half Fern Street, Zone B3, Case 13, 13B. The appellant is requesting a variance from ACC 230407A to construct a building with no commercial use on the first floor in a B3 zone, where the commercial use on the first floor is required. Okay.
I'll just show you these plans here. But
Yeah.
no idea what the chamber wants to do, and I just wanted to pass this out. That's the property in question there. And as you can see, it is completely surrounded by city right-of-way.
You guys can pass the drawings down, but this project is coming to you in light of mainly after the Bellavino project. There is no commercial space on the first floor in a B3. The parking that is on the first floor was not deemed commercial when it is accessory use to the residential above. So therefore, it needs a variance for not having commercial use on the first floor in a B3 zone.
Are there any businesses on Fern Street anymore?
No, not directly.
No, the bookstore
There
at the
was-
very end, and that's it now?
Yeah, the
Just on
one,
the ends.
Rogers Tie
the
Dye
one
used to
cleaning
close.
supply warehouse is now an apartment building. The plumber's place has been torn down. There's another one. So
there's
the
no
closest
open-
one is the
yeah.
bookstore on State.
Okay, that's what I thought when I drove down.
Okay, and there are properties existing as apartments or residential that have parking below and no business, right?
That is correct.
But that happened before we got around to reading the code
That is correct.
differently. Okay. All righty.
You guys want to kind of see this thing?
Are there not also some properties there that came before the board that had variances for the same request that we're talking about here? Or were they all built before?
Every,
No,
no,
they all had to have variances, right?
no. None of them did. This really all came about after that project when it was really questioned for the first time, and then through the opinion of the law director's office that determined that the parking on the first floor would not be considered a commercial part of the project when it's accessory to the residential above.
Right, I
Prior to
realize.
that, there were many projects that were approved where the parking was considered
I'm talking about residential on the first floor.
residential on the first floor in a B3
Right.
has not, I mean, that part of the code changed in 2001. So
Okay,
prior to that, it was permissible.
right. And most of those other, there's several apartments along there, apartment buildings, right?
The newer apartment buildings meet the code as far as no residential on the first floor. 25 Fern and 33 Fern, and then up the alley. Well, I don't know if 9 Fern needed it or not. I'm not familiar with that background, that apartment building. But I think that was pre-existing, some of those apartments. But anyway, down at that end of the street, no, they all comply.
They all comply.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Well,
They comply with what?
33 Fern has parking on the first floor,
Right.
but that was with the old interpretation.
Correct.
old interpretation, same code. That was after
Yeah.
2001,
Correct.
but it was interpreted differently.
Okay, so now that we have a new interpretation, you need to have a business on the first floor and you're parking somewhere else.
Parking can be on the first floor as well, as long as there is a
As long
business
as there's
use, much
business.
like we ended up doing with the Bellavino
Right.
project, with Stimson Garden project, whatever you want to call it, where there's
Right.
still commercial on the face, the store front,
Right.
or the street front, with
Okay.
parking behind it. That is one of the things the planning commission is discussing in their B stuff is, in the B reclassifications, will a percentage be put to that, where so much of it has to be residential or commercial and so much could be parking, but who knows how long that may take. So
And so the idea is that the construction is, the constructor, the owner is requesting that, is it they want to put parking on the first floor?
correct.
Sure. And no business. How unfortunate.
If you charge for that parking, would that be commercial?
No.
No.
We already
no,
voted.
that was
Director said
all-
no.
We
Oh, I
need
mean,
a
if you
commercial-
charge money, that's a business.
No.
No,
No, we went
No.
through this on
The new
Grandview.
interpretation is that's not true.
that is
So-
not a business.
So
Okay.
even though there are other properties there that came in under a different interpretation and do have parking and no commercial, now we have a new rule that says you need commercial.
Correct.
Well, you can't, parking is not, the ruling is that parking is not necessarily considered commercial in the front of the building. So this new complex requires parking? Is that what the issue is?
In a B3 residential, any zone, you're required to have parking for residential use. So therefore, yes.
Because he's taking down the existing structures. Right.
Yes.
Correct.
So the parking would have to be underneath the building? Or could it exist elsewhere?
It could exist elsewhere on site,
Yeah,
or
on site.
it'd be pretty difficult. And I don't know how you get it on the third floor. So.
Okay, here comes Fern Street. So it's right there, right on the street, on the other side, okay. Gotta put in some retaining walls, okay. 12 parking spaces. 12 parking
Actually,
spaces?
parking from both sides. You have access coming in off of Fern Street, and you also have it off of the alley behind Carpenter Hall.
Well, over there.
And it'd be staggered, and the architect here, he can speak to that better than I can, but it'll be two different grades. If you go out there, if you looked at it, there's a significant hill
Yeah, exactly.
between them there. So you'd have parking off of Fern down here and off the alley up here within the residential above that.
Here's the alleyway, 10-foot alleyway. And this goes out to Carpenter. Yeah, I've been down that alleyway.
Well, I was down there the other day, but I guess I'm just confused.
John, have you or your appellant together discussed, this might be a perfect case to ask the planning commission to change the zone for Fern Alley?
Yeah, I think that's really what needs to, I mean,
Since there are no existing business, have you talked that option?
Yes, I mean, there's a whole part that we're looking at, and I can say this whole area is one of the areas that was requested to be changed to B2D. It's gone to city council numerous times and been denied by city council every time, and that recommendation's come through from the planning commission more than once. Maybe this area becomes R3, I don't know, but it has been briefly discussed.
yeah, it would seem like, well, that B2D thing is a totally, that's a very long, complicated thing. But to make this an R3,
Oh, so complicated.
oh, right, then you have all those issues.
The people in here right now, they want to do it, basically, all of that region as an R3.
Okay.
Okay. All righty. Let's see what we can think about here.
Coffee house, first floor.
I think that would be useful if you could park your car somewhere.
Good.
Okay, so you have told us what we need to know from your point of view, all right? So, we need the appellant
Yeah,
to
you wanna-
come and tell us name, address,
So here's
situation.
Fern Street.
Hi, my name is Russell Chamberlain. My address is 8950 Lavelle Road. Thanks for having me here tonight. I understand the intent of the existing zoning, and Court Street's a prime example of how the zoning works, to have a vibrant downtown business community, which we have, and to have apartments up above. And I couldn't agree more with the intent, but this Fern really is a special exception, even more so than Stimson, I think, because there is so little traffic Number one, we've done a traffic study. I can share numbers with you. Very little vehicular traffic, mostly pedestrian traffic. And then, there just are no businesses. I will make one correction. I mean, it was stated that there are no businesses. Actually, Klein Penny Rentals does have, across from where the old Strong Plumbing used to be on Fern, that's a little cute brick, nice little house, and that is actually Klein Penny Rentals' office. And they have like 2 parking spaces in front. They really don't get much traffic there. But that's the only existing business there. All the other businesses, a sports place, that was, I think somebody alluded to that. I think that's number 9, which is up towards Court Street. That closed down. Strong Plumbing, of course, went out of business. It's just not a viable street for a commercial enterprise. And I've discussed with the code director and other folks the possibility of rezoning, and I've been working on this for 2.5 years, this project, trying to find ways to make it work, to be compliant with code. We've come back to code enforcement a number of times with multiple revisions of plans and that sort of thing to try to meet the spirit of the code. So it just, I guess, in short, for me to require a commercial frontage, it does create a hardship that doesn't seem fair in that particular location. It's not exactly a thriving business corridor. There are no other businesses. There's no retail. There's nothing there that's happening. And again, I would contrast that with Court Street, Stimson, some of these other locations where the same zones apply. There also have been recent, in addition to most of the buildings that are there are 20 years old or so. The most recent construction, which kind of ties in with a lot of the Title 41 issues and the way that some of this stuff has been addressed in the last year, not allowing parking to be considered a viable commercial use. So when that got thrown out, 2009, though, 23 Fern was built. 23 Fern? 33 Fern. That's that long one that's across from the bookstore. It's a red, it has hardy board siding along, it has balconies on the front. It's attractively done. Bart Hassler built it. That's a 23-bed apartment complex. And again, it has all parking underneath. So we were going to propose underground parking, which is what everybody else does, and I've walked around town and seen many apartment complexes around that have these torturous little catacomb chambers where cars can barely even get out, even though they're code compliant. It's almost impossible for even a reasonably sized car to get in and out. So what we have worked through is a plan that allows for pull-in parking. I'll show you a drawing in a moment that's a little bit better than the one that you have there. So that we can have open air, open space. It's safer, it's better, it's better lit and everything else, so that we don't have any of this kind of pull in and do a 5-point turn to get into a space, of which there are plenty of examples of that around town. So the current plan provides for that as well. And then finally, I would just say I don't think there's any detriment to any of the existing surrounding businesses. One of the neat things about this property is that I think I'm the person that discovered it, frankly. I went to Paul Logue with it first. But as you're facing these two older, fairly dilapidated duplexes, to the left there is a 40-foot wide space there where there's currently parking. Carpenter Hall parks there, and 2 of the spaces are permitted for the current duplex, old duplex that's there. And it turns out that fairly wide, I think it's called an alley, is actually owned by the city. Nobody seemed to know that they did own it. There is private parking happening there as we speak, and it's even in the current code rental permit for the duplex that exists there, for 2 spaces right there. There's a trash dumpster there that Carpenter Hall uses and that sort of thing. So there's already this buffer there on one side, 40-foot wide. So in terms of light, the building's going to be really well lit. There's an alley in the back, also significant space there. And then on the side, there's another alley, and that provides for another 10 feet. And then, of course, the front of where we have met all the setback requirements, so the building sits back quite a ways from the road. Our intention is to aesthetically improve the street. I mean, the two buildings that are there now that we're going to take down are old, they're dilapidated, they were built around 1900. They're not in particularly good condition, and the building that we've proposed, I think genuinely will be a really attractive, aesthetically pleasing thing to see when you're going down Court Street. You'll look down Fern, and it will be one of those, it'll be in a line of sight. We have a rendering here. Unfortunately, the rendering shows it coming from the other way, from the bookstore side. But it's a staggered view, so when you're looking down the street from Court Street, you'll see these kind of neat faces, and I think it'll look very contemporary and really be a nice addition to what's already there. I'll show you this has got a computer rendering here. The finished details and that sort of thing aren't perfect. But so this is from this end coming down here, and you can see this is Court Street up here. So if you were looking down from Court Street, there are just these really neat staggered balconies, and we're going to do a lot of neat stuff with material. I'm also the owner of the Athens Real Estate Company. I built that complex out on West Union, the contemporary wedge-shaped building where the coffee shop is, and that's kind of in the spirit of something that
So you're already kind of in the coffee shop business, right? Well,
I also know where a coffee shop will work, and it won't work here. Not on Fern Alley.
Why not?
A tattoo parlor. I just don't think it's going to work there. It's too. They're first of all, I mean, look at the number of coffee shops uptown. I mean, most people have joked saying,
Look at the people that are already living
right.
on
I mean, you
that
have
tiny
an
island.
audience.
You already have whole house people right there.
Yeah, as you said, though, I am deeply involved with a coffee shop in my own building. I know how hard it is to get a coffee shop to be profitable. And even though ours seems to be really successful because there's a lot of people there, I mean, it barely makes it. There are a lot of other coffee shops right around the corner on a more vibrant front street. In terms of this being a neat, cool place to hang out on a patio and, watch others go by, this isn't it.
Well, you put a lot of balconies there. Nobody's going to sit there and let people go by. I mean, they look nice. Isn't somebody going to sit there?
Well, I think it's a little bit different to imagine people enjoying coffee on Fern Alley as opposed to being
upstairs.
Students hanging out on balconies. That's
for other purposes. Yes, okay.
It's a common pastime, I would say.
So there are going to be balconies on the rear of this building?
No balconies on the rear, just a walkway in the back.
A walkway for?
Just access off the. There's as you go up to the backside of Carpenter Hall, there's another alley there, and that'll just be a pedestrian walkway.
I was just thinking about Carpenter Hall. I mean, they already have a problem with people coming through there and doing some dastardly deeds in their little courtyard, and so I'm wondering the distance between your building, the back of your building, and the facilities for people to hang out in the back of this building, and its close proximity to Carpenter Hall.
Yeah, one of the things that we really want to work on is basically an overall beautification of Fern, honestly, and part of that is better lighting. There's just very poor lighting already on the street, so we want to improve lighting in the back. Our nearest neighbor is the church behind us, which is the second location for the Central Methodist Church. And they are in support of the project. Is that confusing?
Yes. Which
Central
church are
venue.
you talking about?
Central venue.
Central venue.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's our nearest neighbor on the back side of the alley.
Okay.
And so, if anything, we would like to see, that whole backside just made nicer. I mean, partly through, improving the roadway there, but also through better lighting. I also want to work with the Tree Commission when that time comes to propose improving what is basically an eyesore on Fern, and that's that 40-foot wide. There's a retaining wall. It's the section that's owned by the city, and it's just ugly. It's all overgrown. Nobody maintains it. The city didn't even know the city owned it until I came forward and said, "Hey, look at this piece." So what we envision is actually working cooperatively with the city and the Tree Commission and actually beautifying that whole area which is right, so when you're going down Court Street, that first view really will be of hopefully this enhanced 40-foot wide alley where we'll have nice lighting. And then the building's right there. I had one other thought. Power lines. AEP has hated the power lines that go up and down Fern. They're huge, cumbersome. They're all over the place. It's a tangled mess. The engineer, Kenny Krebs, has said it's the worst cluster that he has seen in town, and he wants to find a way to get rid of it. So because this building, I'm going to contribute money towards that, and they're going to require it from me, we have to actually drop all the power lines down, and we're going to be able to bury them underground, it looks like along that back alleyway. AEP already has easements even to do that. Mm-hmm. So there'll be significant improvement aesthetically of just the whole vibe will just look pretty as opposed to now it looks dilapidated.
We have been informed that AEP is looking to do a major project downtown, cleaning everything up over the next few years. So I'm sure that's part of the area.
Yeah, and we've had them out there a number of times, and they have welcomed a private developer to come in and kind of jumpstart it. And again, we also have cooperation from the church in the back. We've already cooperated with them in moving some electric and things like that around already. So I think in terms of overall aesthetics, it's going to be a better place than it is now.
If you are allowed to have a parking down there, would you have enough space for all the tenants?
Yes.
Okay.
We have 19 spaces.
Okay, great.
And it's only 18 bedrooms, actually.
My question and concern is, if you've been thinking about this for over 2 years,
yeah.
Have you gone, and this is a wonderful speech and presentation, has this been presented before City Council and the Planning Commission?
We went before the Planning Commission, I guess about a year and a half ago, when I was, at that point, I was in the process of, I think I was buying it on land contract, these two duplexes. And it was, I would say, an unclear and unproductive meeting, and I felt like they basically said, go to the Board of Zoning Appeals. I mean, you can support me in that. I think Mr. Paskey can support me in that. They said, this is a mess. I mean, there's all sorts of definitional issues with first floor commercial. It's not defined how many square feet it is. We designed, frankly, a plan that has a small little space in it. We were going to put a laundromat in there. But even the laundromat, I mean, we have it in a set of plans to put, I think, an 800 square foot laundromat. But then I think, frankly, John Paskey was the first person to point out, don't you have laundry in all the apartments? And we do. So even that didn't seem viable. And
well, it's a question you're bringing this speech in front of a board of elected officials.
Yeah.
That's greatly going to enhance all the things that you just said, and they're paid to dwell over all the information you gave them. Mm-hmm. And I don't like the Planning Commission wiping their hands and saying, let the zoning board, a volunteer group of folks, decide the fate of that kind of issue.
Right, it's a huge issue.
It's a very huge issue, and
I'm
one
sitting
that I
here
might
thinking,
suggest we
your
table.
project is lovely. Everything you want to do is stunning. The alley looks trashed. Some of those buildings that are fairly new look trashed. If somebody come in and start doing things to clean that up, that would be stunning, to drop the wires down.
Yeah.
But this whole first floor parking thing is a trauma, and it's going to make me vote no.
Well,
because not because of what you want to do, because of its ramifications. And I don't think this is the board to make such a large decision. I mean, this has ripple effects out into the community.
I think it doesn't, and here's why. Because I don't think this is a Stimson Avenue project, and this isn't on Court Street. This is on Fern, where there are literally no other businesses. It's its own special.
There shouldn't really be anything at all. It is an alley, and we treat it as a street. It's ridiculous.
Right.
It's actually called a street.
You need to get them to change the zone.
It began as an alley.
Right, but it's become a cluster of if you're going down that way and a car's coming the other way and you can't get anywhere else,
It's a one-way alley. I mean,
yeah,
it's a
it's
one-way
like
alley with
there's
nothing on it.
too
But-
much population.
As Joan says, not only is this a controversial issue, which the zoning board took a stand about because of the Stimson Avenue thing, and now it's not only controversial, it is in fact in flux within the city, people who make decisions. So at a point for us, when it's still sort of, well, we could do this or that has nothing to do with us, it's the city council and the commissioners, then why would we decide that we should make a vote on your property, however desirable it might be? Because we've just recently had the whole brouhaha about Stimson Avenue, how to interpret the code. We've changed the interpretation, and now if we suddenly say, oh, but you is really special, and so we don't really believe what we said before, which was to take a stand. Yes.
But you're allowed
That's right.
to vote this way on this and not on that because of things like exceptional circumstances.
That's why.
That's why you go case by case rather than just saying,
It
no,
is.
we're not going to listen to
It
any
is.
of
And I
it.
totally agree. This is one of the most exceptional cases that have come before my time on this board, which has been at least 10 years. But it's also, very rarely do we take the very last exception in our readings and say, this is definitely one of those cases that needs to be sent and have the code changed in order to fulfill the requirement of the code.
And I think you can do that, but still think you need to proceed with the code as it's written, the way it's interpreted, until it's changed to the case that's been brought before you.
Well, and if we do, it'll be, as
There's
Joan
an easy
suggested,
way to
it'll
resolve that,
be no.
and that is, in fact,
Whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
give
fine.
you
Go
a
ahead.
turn.
Yeah,
Yes. Tell us your name and address.
I have Mike Knoll with Panich and Knoll Architects. I probably own half a dozen pieces of property in Athens. Developed probably 6 of those and followed the zoning codes over the last 30 years I've been in Athens. This is, as was brought up, sitting on a board such as this for almost 10 years this is a way for the general public to have a say that keeps politics out of it, and that you are appointed to your position and you can see through all the clouds and the haze that exists that there are issues in the code that can easily be addressed and can be resolved by what you say. You can also go back to the city and say, in this particular case, on a B3, the issue is you want commercial on the lower level. An easy way of resolving that is to say, if it meets this requirement of the number of cars that pass by this particular site. Stimson Avenue is a prime example. You have over 12,000 cars that passes by that site. At that particular location, retail can make it. And I've done 2 studies on that property on large ones, and it's capable. And I've talked to large retailers who would be interested in those particular sites. Richland Avenue, I've developed 2 sites there, commercial properties. The car count is 10,000 on that Richland Avenue. East State Street, that's the ideal location in Athens. In that particular case, it's 19,000 cars a day that goes by that site. Those make sense. In this particular case, Fern Avenue, the car count, do you know off the top of your head? It's 170. No one is going to go and develop and expend cash and money on a street for retail that's got 170 cars going down it then.
Foot traffic.
For traffic. Traffic is an easy...
Foot traffic.
Well, foot traffic that's car traffic. Foot traffic probably equals that,
Well,
to be
we're not
quite honest.
expecting car traffic on this street.
No.
You probably have more people walking behind the venue, behind Carpenter, and down than you do walking the other direction, because it's a shortcut from Grover and Franklin. And I know that from a fact because I spent 6 months every Saturday of my life doing the venue at that particular location for the church then. So an easy recommendation from your board to the city is we resolve this issue by making it based on car count or foot traffic that would justify retail in a location such as this. And this is probably the most unique there is because it's probably the only alley that's been zoned as a B3. As I said, it can't be zoned R because you don't have your setbacks.
doesn't make sense to zone it any B1 or B2s because that's even worse restrictions and stuff. So my recommendation is make the approval, make sure that the city knows that you're not satisfied with the code, and then they need to come to recommendations to council. But you see this as a case that you're saying it's time that you do something that makes some sense, and that is change the code and base it on quantity of cars and people on that street then. And that's why you're appointed. Sat on those boards, you make hard decisions, but at the same time, you can also get things to happen. Where, as we know, sometimes elected officials won't do that because they're just too afraid of what the consequences are.
So your suggestion, in the back of our minds saying, well, sure, well, let's take our vote and avoid the politics. Oh my gosh, we're getting sued by the strip club situation. Let's make our vote and forget oh my gosh, we got the East Side Neighborhood Association lawsuit for Grandview.
That's not the Near East Side Neighborhood.
We're talking about...
That's their own deal.
We're talking about Fern Street. Now, granted, there are other cases where the code has to be acquired. You just had one on a fence. Follow the letter of the law, whether it's the letter law of a fence or the letter law of a retail space on Fern, it's still the letter of the law. And that's why you're here, is to say, in this particular case, we've been appointed to look at the code, and it does not work here. Therefore, it's our best judgment to approve that based on that. And then go back and say, here's how you resolve this issue. Because you guys work with it every month, and you can go back and say, here's a way we can resolve this to avoid it in the future, so these guys don't have to come and bring us before you because we met these requirements. That's all I'm saying at this point.
Okay, point taken.
Okay, questions? Other questions? Of Mr. Chamberlain?
Yes, you
No.
Anything?
Questions or discussion?
I don't think that politics should come into this. I think that this case needs to be based on its own very clear and obvious merits. And I don't think that there is going to be fallout in the public, and I don't think this is going to be used as some sort of precedence that others are going to try to use, because this case is so specific. And that's exactly what the Board of Zoning Appeals is here to address, are specific cases. And as you work through in your discussion the 6 points that are before you, I've worked through those 6 points in my own mind also. So I welcome the opportunity to hear you discuss them, because I think as you work through them in a discussion, you're going to find that the answers to these, I think, are going to support my position that this needs to be built. Thanks.
Thank you. I think we've already heard from the supporter of the variance, and we don't have anybody else to speak in general comment or to oppose you. So we're going to close the floor and go through the findings and see what we think. Do you want to have any more discussion of the problem here before we go through the findings?
I make a motion that we grant a variance in case 13-13V to approve the variance from Athens City Code 23.04.07A to construct a building with no commercial use on the first floor in a B3 zone, where commercial use on the first floor is required.
Might as well second.
I would like to add, this will go through the Title 41 process, as well through the Shade Tree Commission and all the other
I'm sorry.
requirements.
Could you start again?
This will go through the Title 41 process
Okay.
of site plan review, and it will go through the Shade Tree Commission.
Okay.
Well, we figured that last
Right.
Okay. So the first thing we have to consider is practical difficulty and undue hardship. Because of exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to the property, a literal enforcement of the regulations will result in practical difficulty or undue hardship unnecessary to the achievement of public purposes.
So who's creating the hardship, the property or the person involved in the property?
Well, the property, because it's not a commercial, it is a commercial zone, but there is no commercial, that can go profitably in that area. So it is a hardship for the property.
If you buy that argument. I'm not
Yeah.
sure I do. There are other
Well-
alleys that have businesses in them, the restaurant,
So,
So, yeah, so if you buy the argument.
Well, again, we're talking about this Furnace Street, this particular street or
Well,
alley.
but
But in
what
general,
What
yeah.
Kay is saying is not very far away. There is an alley with a little restaurant on it.
You know, and there are tens of thousands of fit-able students walking around who, if there were a commercial endeavor there that appealed to them, I'm sure they could find their way to it.
Sure, because there is.
Now, if there is a restaurant in there, would they support some parking for it on the alley? So where are they going to park?
Well, I don't
That's
think
not
Sol
our
has
concern.
any parking except on-street parking. Maybe Mr. Paskey could tell us, but I don't know that.
That's not,
The
yeah.
Sol Restaurant is is in a B2D.
Okay, so it's
they
a
can
different
use the
zone.
city garage.
Okay.
B3, they'd have to come up there.
Yeah, so it's a zone.
Okay, so the similarity is that it's in an alley, but it's a different zone.
It's a different zone.
B3. Okay. So I think you have to decide what is the exceptional circumstance here.
Well, the public purpose is to have business on the first floor and residential on the second floor.
Right.
And so,
What's the exceptional thing at this property?
Is it currently rented?
What?
Is it currently rented right now? I mean,
What?
is it?
yes, there's two separate dwellings there, so they're gonna,
Yes, there's 2 duplexes there.
right, so it's
Both
actually,
have approved rental permits right now.
right.
Okay.
So how does that make this exceptional? He's going to tear those down.
Well, it is.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
you
it's
tear 'em down
usable
and-
property right now.
Yeah, it's useful property
It's
right now.
income, it
It's
has,
And it's
Okay,
choice
I'm
of.
asking you, what's the exceptional circumstance?
There
we're
are.
saying there aren't any.
Well-
We're trying to eliminate exceptional circumstances here.
Well, the only exceptional circumstance that I see is that this request is coming after a reinterpretation of the code. And I don't think that makes the property exceptional. It only makes its request exceptional, I guess.
It's use, so it makes its use, its hardship. In that sense?
Well,
I hear what you're
Is
saying.
there-
No,
is there
I
something-
understand what you're saying, and I think that that's, it's difficult. It makes it seem like it's a case that came before us that we can't really define or determine within this particular, we're having a hard time with this.
well, okay, is it something about the property? It's on a hill. He's already rectified that, so that doesn't count. It's, okay, the only thing I see is that there's been a change in the interpretation of the code, and that makes a hardship for them in a way.
Yeah, hardship
Depending
of
on-
use, so
okay,
they,
okay.
yes.
Okay, so that's exceptional circumstances that do not apply to other properties, which have already gotten themselves in before we reinterpreted the code. Preservation of equal property rights. Literal interpretation of the regulations would deprive the appellant of rights commonly enjoyed by others in the same zone and the same vicinity, while the granting of the requested variance will not confer any special privilege that is denied to other properties.
Well, it would deny them. It would deny them.
That's true, but there's been a change in the code.
There's been a change in the weather. though.
Right, okay, so yes, they would not have the same rights that other people did, which they got at a different time and a different way of thinking. Is this a minimum variance required to make reasonable use of the property?
Well, I think we're talking about it is already, I mean, new is good, old is not bad. It is already a rentable, usable, income generating, 2 pieces of property that, you know, the character of those houses are somewhat unique. And so you could actually bring back that turn of the 20th century look.
Okay, but
That's all I'm gonna say.
we're not really asking anything about those houses.
No, we're talking about minimum variance. I'm
We're
saying maybe
talking-
it's not a minimum
We're
variance.
talking about a minimum variance for this particular property and the building that is proposed.
Just the proposed building.
Sure. So we're talking about, is this the minimum variance on a property that is to be built Is this a minimum required to make possible the reasonable use of the property that Mr. Chamberlain proposes?
In this zone, no.
It's not the minimum? It is the minimum. We all seem to be saying things that make no sense to me, but okay.
This is why I think this is what the problem is.
Okay. Is this a minimum variance or not?
I think it is.
Okay. Except for the fact that we have a new code in force in this
Yeah,
situation.
sure.
Okay.
But we also have
Okay. Absence of detriment. The authorizing of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property and will not materially impair the purpose of the zoning code or the public interest.
Back to the public interest.
There you
Well, but
go.
that's our job, is to...
It's a great improvement, absolutely fantastic improvement, but it impairs it rubs the code.
Okay, not of a general nature. Now, think about this one.
Absolutely
The
not.
condition of this specific piece of property for which the variance is sought is not of so general or recurrent a nature as to make reasonably practicable the formulation of a general regulation for such condition. And I think in this case, however we say the answer to this is one that the city needs to think over again.
Yes.
Clearly.
Yes,
Okay.
I think...
You know, I'm tired of taking the vote that city council should make.
I'm trying to get in the cutouts. I mean, they make us the cutout all the time, right?
I know. So what's new about that?
Well, nothing. It's just that we get to say it.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, I have no idea what any of you are thinking, so let's go ahead and vote unless you want to talk some more. Okay, we'll start with Mr. Lavelle.
I vote no.
I would yes.
Okay?
I vote no.
I vote no.
Well, all right, I guess I'll vote yes. Just because I can. Okay, so you're going to have to take this up with the city, and if they bring it back to us, then we can talk about it again, I guess.
Take it up with what part of the city?
That is not something I can tell you. Perhaps
You're elected
Mr. Paskey
officials.
can tell you.
I've
Yes.
been with the elected officials and I've been to the planning commission.
Well,
and I've been told different authorities.
apparently they are discussing it, as Mr. Paskey says, and trying to figure out something
There's no
about this.
resolution yet. And in the meantime, you know, years pass.
I know,
And,
I do
you know,
understand.
somebody like me just trying to do a decent job here is literally a pawn in the game of three different divisions.
Well, and
not being able to do
as you can see, we feel the same way without the commitment that you have made to your property, which I appreciate. But the vote at the moment is no. Okay. Any other business? Minutes?
The minutes look good. I vote that we approve them as written.
I second.
Wonderful. Minutes accepted as presented. Richard, do you want to take this with you?
Those are mine, I'll grab those.
Okay.
I had some parking that I
Those the
gave. It
little...
was just traffic study.
Okay.
Oh, there were two of them.
Right, okay. Okay. All right.
We adjourn? We move that we adjourn?
As
we
far
go
as
aye
I
on
can
the
tell,
minutes?
we are, yes,
Did
we're
you aye
adjourned.
on
Aye.
Aye.